All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. What you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and follow the link in the comment below. It'll take you to my GitHub repository. You will then just copy the code into your Sublime Text Editor. If you don't have Sublime Text Editor installed, go ahead and follow the first video where I show you how to do that. All right, so what is a function? A function is basically a set of commands that will run and do a specific task. So here we have a function, and you can see it has def, which is for defining a function, and the name of the function, greet users. Now, when the greet users is called, it will print hello. So here, this is how we call it. We just type the function's name and the parentheses. And if we run that, you'll see hello. Easy. Part 2. All right. So here we define the function greet users, and greet users pass down an argument, and that will be the username. And when it passes it down, you can see we refer to username up here, right here. It'll then process and do whatever it is that we want it to do. Whatever that function is supposed to do, it will process that argument and do whatever is required. So this is how we call it again. We call the function greet users inside the parameters, aka inside parentheses, we have an argument, and we will pass that argument over to our function. The username will then store Jesse in it, and then pass that and process it. So we will see hello, Jesse. All right, let's go to start 3. See how I've sectioned these off. If you haven't been following along, that way you could just easily follow along. Okay, def, where you save. Here's just an example of, let's say we had a program that would restart a computer. We want the person to save their file called doc1. When we call that function, it will then just tell them to save doc1 now. All right, part 4. Oh, there you go. Here we have save language. So your favorite language is, and in this case, Python. So when we call it, we send the argument Python. Then you see favorite language is right here. It has Python now in the length argument, and then that's passed down. So we should see your favorite language is Python. All right, part 5. Multiple function calls. We can pass a function as many times as you want. Here we describe Star Wars character as an argument. An argument Python will match the name of the character we provide with the character in the parameter. So for instance, describe Star Wars character, we're passing Anakin as the name. The trait is they hate sand. So here's the actual function itself, and it takes the character name and the trait, which in this case, it knows what they are based on the order. And then it processes it, and you'll see your favorite character is Anakin. A unique trait of my character is that they hate sand. You'll see it there. Okay. Order matters. So here we'll do the same thing, except this time we'll switch the order to hate sand and Anakin. Now, when that gets passed as an argument to the function, you can see that the function expects the character name to be passed first and then the trait. But in this case, we sent it backwards. So when it gets processed, it'll get processed backwards. Like you see here, my favorite character is hate sand. Unique trait is that and then you can see it's not right. So how do we fix this? Well, in this case, to fix it, we'd have to specify a key value pair. And so I'll show you how to do that. Here, keywords and argument. So we have the name value pair, and we pass that to the function. So you directly associate the name and the function within the argument. So when you pass the argument to the function, there is no confusion. We basically explicitly associate the name with the value. So here you have the function that we're calling, describe star's character, character name, what we're sending as an argument, and Anakin is the character name, which we explicitly specified, and trait, and we explicitly specify that hates Santa. So when that gets passed to the function here, the function will then process that as character name and trait and their respected arguments, and then it will process that, and you'll see it actually works better. This is the ideal way of doing it. You want to have the name value pairs associated and not just rely on the order, because, well, as we've seen before, the orders can become messy. So let's go ahead and take that same example, run it again. This time we're going to switch up the order, and the trait's going to say hate sand, and the character name is going to be Anakin. And as you see, we just switched out the order, but because we've explicitly associated them, it's still going to give us the same results that we want. As you see, the results are the same and everything is good. This is why you want to explicitly associate those name value pairs. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to default 8. So what if you are expecting a value sent as an argument? So here we have character name Anakin. Sure, we expect that. What if maybe it's an option for them to input the trait? Well, we still want to have a default trait there. So if we're talking Star Wars here, we know most of the characters, the Jedi especially, well, they're force sensitive. So we'll just go ahead and put in are force sensitive. So when we run this, you can see my favorite character is Anakin. The unique trait is that they are force sensitive, and that is just basically a default value that we associated using a name value pair. All right, and next we'll look at calling function layout and styles. Here you see the way we position our arguments can be like the following, and it really comes down to style and how you want to do it. So here we have our call, and here we have our function, right? This function's specific task in this case is to print out my favorite character is, and then a unique trait of this character is, and such. Calling it is down here, and you can see we have our name value pairs here, which is the ideal way of doing it, and the way we recommend. And so once you have that, you should be good. And that should work. So let me go ahead and just delete that right there. My favorite character is Anakin. Unique trait my character has is that they hate sand, like such. Now, what if you did something like this? You'd get an error because trait doesn't have a name value pair, and we didn't send it as an argument. So you can just make you could just make a name value pair. Light side. Yeah, that works. Since it probably didn't make too much sense there, but you get the idea. So, all right, number 10. So looking at 10, replicating argument errors. This code will produce an error because no argument were provided. The error will tell us what's wrong in this case. So in this case, we're calling a function. We didn't send an argument, so there's nothing in here, and we will get an error like that. Now, the way of fixing this is to actually input the argument information, which could be Luke, straight, light side, and now it should run essentially. Or maybe it doesn't, probably because I didn't put the quotes around it. No. See if this runs. There you go. See it, that fixed it. All right, going back here, we'll do number 11. Challenge that accepts arguments. Hey, computer, say here we are taking a customer's order for a computer order online. Pretend they use the input function we just learned about, and they input the following: the name, the computer brand, the operating system, and after we input that in our output. Now pretend that the output is a generated email that will go to the customer. After this is input into the backend database. So I'm trying to help you picture a process that might occur where someone is on a website, they input their order, and it goes to the backend database and also generates an email that they'll receive. Now you're starting to understand how all this kind of just comes together. But going back to our function, which in this case will only be generating that email template we'll use, given the information that was provided. So here we have our function, describe computer item, or actually, I'm sorry, this is the call right here. So this is calling the function. That's just the function name. So function name, and then what we want to pass arguments. So what we're passing down to that function so it could do its job. So we have name, Danny, computer brand, Dell, operating system, Linux. All right, so then when we call that function, here's the function actually. You can see the def defining the function, describe computer item, and all those arguments are set here, and we'll need them because they'll be passed down here and processed. All right, so when we print this out, you'll see the following. Then we have a Dell computer in our inventory. We will load the following Linux operating system for your custom computer. And so that can be like an email that we generate and send to them. All right, so we'll move on to 12. Challenge, using default values. So here we'll use a default value in the case that they provided the name, the brand, but they did not provide the operating system. Well, what if we're in a business and all we have really is Windows? So what we'll use as a default for the operating system is the name value pair operating system Windows. Then when that's processed, we will still get the following message. This is helpful in the case where there's just a standard operating system we're going to use. And we could use a standard default value in our function. All right, returned values. So let me go ahead and copy that over. All right. A function can process data and then return a value or values. You could call a function that returns okay, so you could use return here. So you can see that we have return in our function, and it will return a value. So once it's processed the arguments, and it will return that value, and once it returns it, so in this case we call the function get customer name, we send our arguments, right? Then those are sent to the function get customer name. Those arguments are then processed, and then we return whatever we received as a value to that call. And that call is stored in the concat name. So we're just concatenating their name. So we're just putting their first and last name together. And stored in this variable. And then we print the variable out. And so if we actually print this out, you'll see the following: Dan the tech. All right, so number 14. Here we're doing the same thing, except in this case, you can see a person might have a first name, last name, but they may not have a middle name. So in this case, we left the middle name optional, and if they don't have a middle name, then you can see it run this if else. So if middle name, then you're gonna actually concatenate all the first name, middle name, and last name. Else, in case the person doesn't have a middle name, it will just concatenate the first and last name and then return the full name, which in this case is stored in this variable. Then when that returns back to the call, it goes into this variable concat name. Concat name is then printed out. And if we print this, you'll see the following down there. And if you wanted to see both names, I have to do this. And you can see Dan Rex the tech, Dan the tech. And that worked out nicely. Okay, number 15. And thank you for following along with me. I know this one's a little bit longer, but function is pretty important to understand. It's required to have a good foundation in Python. All right, start return dictionary. A function can return values like dictionaries. We place values in the dictionary, and we return the whole dictionary for our entire name. So for instance, we have get customer, we're calling it, down the tech, we're sending that as first and last name. It goes down to our function, first, last name. Those arguments are processed. And in this case, the first and last name are put inside of a dictionary. And it's got the curly brackets, so you know it's a dictionary. It's also got the key value pairs, so you know dictionaries have key value pairs. And that's all stored in the person variable. The person variable is then returned, which in this case will just be this information. And then that call function will then basically have the information that was passed down, and then that'll go into the concatenate name variable. Then we'll print that, and we should see the results. First, Dan, last, the tech. All right. That worked out. Let's go to 16. Using a dictionary and placeholder, you can easily extend the function to accept optional values. You can store the age as optional with a special value, none. Python will take that as none is optional. You'll need to use none as it is placeholder. So what I'm basically saying here is, in the case where you have someone who has a first, last name, but they may not provide an age, then you can set none, and none, Python will detect none as a placeholder. So as you see up here, it shows like none. So Python detects none as a placeholder. It's actually like legitimate thing that Python detects. And then here you see the first and last name. And then if the age, then it will add that to the dictionary, the person dictionary, and then it will return that. Otherwise, if there isn't any age, it will just put none in as a placeholder. So if we run this, you'll see we have Dan, the tech, age 27. I'm actually 100. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm not going to share my age. All right, so let's do 17. Function with a while loop runs in pcharm. Okay, so this one's going to have a function with a while loop. We'll explain it here, and then we'll move this over to pcharm, because pcharm will allow us to have an interactive like terminal, basically. So it'll let us run interactive code, essentially. We have a function which will do the following: def get formatted name, first last, and here you see the first last, and it'll return the full name. So while it's true, so while the prompt is true and it's receiving input, please tell me your name. Enter Q at any time to quit. And so fname is just the variable we're going to store their input. If fname is equal to quit, then you're going to basically break and stop the program. Else it's going to store that in fname, right? Lname is the input from the lname. If it equals Q, then that means they want to quit, so break. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead and call that function get formatted name, and we're going to pass the fname and lname as arguments. So whatever they inputted will be passed to the function. The function is here. It will then take that input, those arguments, right? It'll process them. In this case, it wants to add those together in a string and then return it. So once it returns it in the string, it will return formatted name. Formatted name will be down here. Hello formatted name, which in this case will be their first last name, and that should work. So as we mentioned earlier, this will have to be run in an interactive PyCharm. So we go ahead and bring PyCharm open real quick. Here it is. So here's PyCharm here. Main. I'm gonna input my code. I'm just gonna hover over it, make sure I don't have any errors. It'll probably error out. It might error out. Let's see if it does. No, it's working. Good. All right. First name, Dan. Last name, Tech. And then here you see hello, Dan Tech. And then it kind of loops, right? Because I haven't entered Q yet, but if I enter Q, it'll quit. I'll stop the program down here. All right. So that worked out. City name exercise. So here, what we're basically doing is we're creating a function that will create a string with city and the name combined. Run this. City, passing, calling the function, passing the argument down the tech. Function itself is here. Take the city and the name, combine the two, return the combined named. Combined names here, go into the concat name variable, the concat name variable will be printed. And there it is there. All right. Number 18. I'm just gonna see how many more we have. I think it goes up to like 35, well, 36. Okay, cool. Now we're on 18. So here we have a dictionary. And so we have the same process calling the function, and here def song, right? And that's set to total song set to none. And then we set input, associate a key value pair here. So we could have a dictionary and store that in the song info. If total song is true, then it will add that total song to the dictionary. This is the dictionary song info, remember? It's dictionary song info. This is essentially the name value pair we're making for that because you need name value pairs in dictionaries. And we're returning that. And so that gets returned and gets stored in the return song info variable, and then we print that out. And this is what we receive, right? So if the total song wasn't specified, this code should essentially still run. And it did. So it's just a way of making it so it's really optional to put in a total song number. All right. So that was number 18. So we'll go ahead and move over to 19 real quick. All right, this part's going to require that we move it over to PyCharm again because this requires an interactive PyCharm. All right, here we have basically what we just talked about, except in this case, we have a while loop. And so it's basically saying if we put Q, then you're going to quit. Otherwise, it's going to take that input, store it in the bname variable. And then once we've stored all the variables we need, the input, we will then send that. We'll call the function, send it over to the function as an argument. The function will then process it. In this case, it looks like it's just putting that in that dictionary and then putting the dictionary in the song info variable and then returning the song info information. So it's returning that dictionary. And then once it's returned, we will then store it in the band info variable, and then we will print the band info out, which essentially will print that dictionary out. So your favorite band is, and then the information from the dictionary. All right, and then if we ran this, we click run, and band name. Let me think of a band here. 5 Finger Death Punch. I don't know if that's a band. Just making up names here. All right. Python. Python's a song. Total songs 1. Your favorite band is 5 Finger Death Punch. Song name Python, and total songs 1. Okay. Oh, that's that one. All right, number 20. All right, so number 20, we're passing a list function we can call. We'll take the argument and pass it down. So, you know, the list, they have brackets, right? Square brackets. So we know that's a list. And here's our list that has some Star Wars character names. And we're storing that in the username list. Okay. And then we're calling the function here, say hi, and then we're passing our list username. And then here's the function, right? And so we have the function name, say hi, and then the list, which is names in this case. And then for name, and we have a loop here for name in names. So increment through all the names and print them out. Hello, name.title, message, and then print that. So it basically loop through our list and print out their names is what it's doing. And there it is there. Now I hope you guys like how I'm going through this, and it's kind of repetitive, but you understanding it, and that's the important part. You know, I know when I was in college, I was struggling, and you know, the professors would typically just tell you to read the book. I mean, I was basically paying them so they can tell me to read a book, and when they were up there teaching, they didn't like to repeat things. So it was kind of like they said it once, and if we caught on, great. If we didn't, well, we're kind of on our own. In this case, I'm just reiterating, and I think with repetition, you'll definitely lock onto this information. So start modifying your list, number 21. start with some designs that you need to be printed. So we just want a phone case, a robot pennant, and something I barely pronounce. And this one's in the book, I believe, as an example. And basically we have a list of unprinted designs. And what we want to do is we want to say, hey, we're in the process of printing it, and then move those jobs that are currently in the unprinted design list and move them over to the completed models list, and then print that completed models list out so people can see, yeah, we're in the process of printing it. Okay, we've printed it. That's basically what it's doing. So while unprinted design, and this is a loop, a while loop. So current design, which in this case is, all right, so let's read this from right to left, because that's the way it should be read. So here you have unprinted design, which is this list here, which has all these unprinted designs. And we're going to pop, so we're basically going to remove one of these items. So let's say we pop phone case out, right? So we remove it. It's no longer in the list, right? And we take that value and we put it in the current design variable, okay? And then we printing model, and then the current design. So we'll print whatever's stored in there. So in this case, it's phone case. So we're printing phone case, right? And we'll print that out to the screen so they can see we're in the process of doing that. And then we'll append, right, from left to right. Let's read this from right to left. So you see current design here. And this is what we're currently working on, which in this case is phone case. We're going to append that to the completed models list. And here's the completed models list. So we're appending it in this list, right? And then we're going to print. The following models have been printed for completed model and completed models printed out. So once we have the values in this completed model list, we will then print it out. So you can see that we've completed printing these, and now they're here in the completed models list. And if I run this, see printing first one, printing robot pennant, printing phone case, following models have been printed, and then it goes through that list. So probably would have been better for me to start off with this one, but I thought, you know, just visually you would see this and it just kind of makes sense as we're going down the line. So, all right, so starting number 22. We set up two functions, one for unprinted designs and one for printed designs. We passed a toList in the first argument. The second function will pass the completed model list that is a list with the completed prints. So basically what we just did, except this time we have two separate functions. And this is how we should be writing our code, so that we have one function that does one particular job and another one that does another particular job. In this case, the first one will be the printed models, and then the second list will be the completed models, right? So here we have our two lists, printed designs and completed models. Here we have our call, which we'll first call the printed model, because we're printing it, we haven't completed it. And we will pass our two lists as an argument. And we're going to need both of them for that first one, right? Because that first one will remove certain items from the first list and unprinted designs and move them over to the completed model list. Okay, so here we call it, here we call it, and then here's the actual variable, def print models. Unprinted designs, completed models, so here's the two lists we're passing as arguments. While unprinted designs, so unprinted designs dot pop, so it's going to remove, let's say completed it's going to remove a value from the unprinted designs. So this is the unprinted designs. So if we look back at the unprinted designs, here's the value it's going to remove. So we'll start with the last one. So but essentially it'll do this, it'll delete that. And then it'll say we're working on it. So printing a model. And then it'll say current design, which is what we're currently working on, append to the completed models. So basically it'll do this. It'll add it to this list down here. All right. And then that function has done its job. Now the next function, show completed models, which is right here, will take the argument of completed models, which in this case is this now. And then for each one of those completed models, it'll print them out. So in this case, if we have this in there, what it'll do is it'll then print this out. And that second function will just print out this. And that will be the end of it, really. So if we run it, that's exactly what we're going to see. Now I'm just going to Control Z to just kind of put everything back in place. Control B, and the printing models, the following models have been printed. All right. Printing a function from modifying a list. Sometimes you want to retain your original list, and you can use the square bracket, colon, square bracket. And what we'll do is we'll send a copy of our list to the function. So for instance, we have the first function, print models, which is basically this list right here, right? We're going to pass it as an argument, but you can see we have the square bracket, colon, square bracket, which means we're saying a copy. So this list is the original list, and we're sending only a copy of this list, meaning this is not going to be modified. And you may say, well, why would I want to just send a copy? Why not just send the original? Well, what if you're working with like a banking application or something of that sort, something sensitive where you need a record of things that have been processed, and you can't just send your original list because it may be modified. So you want to make sure that you still have a record of that. So what you do is you just send a copy. And if we do this, it'll basically do the same thing, except we're using a copy of this list instead of the original. So let's do Control B. You see you get the same output. And if we actually get rid of this, it will still do the same thing. But when we actually, let's say we were to print the unprinted design list, you would see that list is going to be, well, empty in that case. So this will be a good example. So here we have printed completed models, and you can see down here we have the completed models list, which now has all the values after we've run through this, right? But what if we were to print out at the very bottom unprinted designs? You would see that that list is empty. See, that's because we were using that original list. So if we wanted to use a copy, we would just do that and then run that. And now you can see the unprinted designs list is now down here, and it's still there, and it wasn't modified. The pop didn't remove any of them, and it's basically untouched. All right, 24, we pass our argument down the function. So here we have the message, hello, how are you? Because that's how everybody texts. And now we're calling that function message function, and we're sending our message, which is just in this list basically. And then our function here will take that as an argument, and for message in message list, it'll print them out. So we should see that list of messages. Hello, how are you? And that's that. All right, let's move on to 25. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Okay, second, I define what my function will do, and once it gets to an argument. Okay, so here's the first thing I like to do is just kind of create whatever create my list, right? Send message and sent message. So we have two types of list: sent messages and the send messages that we're going to send and the sent messages that have been sent. Then we call the function send message. So the send message will, and let me make sure I have alt code here. Yeah, I do. Okay. Well, message, it's going to then take the message that we pass an argument, put it in the message in transit, and the message in transit will say, hey, we're sending this. And then here it's taking that message in transit and appending it to the sent message list, to this list. And then it's going to print the following messages have been sent, and then for each message in this list, it's going to print them out like so. Okay, number 26. Here we make a copy, and we're doing the same thing, except we're sending a copy instead of using the original. You can see it's basically the same process, and I even show you the original list, and you can see how it hasn't been altered. Nothing has been removed. Okay, good. Let's move on. This one's 27, 26, 26. Oh, okay. This one's 26 message 3, so it's kind of like a sub category of what we just did. So we will name this one pizza. It's a challenge question, that's why. So here we have two lists for toppings on a pizza. And then here we're calling it and we're sending our arguments. And then the make pizza is the function and the argument is toppings. And we're processing that. And so for topping in toppings, print topping. So it will print every single one of the toppings that we want on our pizza. And it looks like that. All right. Great. All right, now we're on 27. I'm so excited. We are almost finished. All right. Mix positions. Mixing positions and arbitrary arguments. Here we can accept arguments, but the size of the pizza first. Size of the pizza need to be. Okay, so the size of the pizza will need to be first. And Python will match. Oh, let me delete this. Python will match the positional keywords and arguments. So here you can see we have our call, make pizza, which is the function name, and then 16, which is the size of the pizza, and then the toppings we want for the pizza. And we'll pass that over. And well, the size will match with the first. So this looks like it's going by the order. So the first one will be the size. And then the toppings will be anything after that. And you can see it has the asterisk there, so it will accept anything after that asterisk as a topping. Right, and for topping and toppings, it'll then print them out. So it'll look like the following. All right, great. So now we'll go to 28. We pass the argument and build user info dictionary. So here we have, let's just start down here. So first we will call the function build profile, that's the name of it, and we send the arguments, right? And then here's the function build profile and then the arguments inside of it. And you can see that we have a double asterisk here. The double asterisk is saying, hey, Python, I want you to make a dictionary called user info. And so Python will say, okay, I'm going to make a dictionary called user info. And then here you can see we're now referring to that dictionary user info, and we're associating the key value pairs. So this first argument, whatever's passed for the first one, will go into this first key value pair, and it'll be the key is going to be first, and the value is going to be first name. And so you can see how that is all put together. And when we call it down here, it will then basically print that out, right? So it'll look like that. All right, number 29, which is a challenge. All right, so here we have def, make sandwiches, size, toppings, print, we will make your size sandwiches for topping and toppings. And so here, we're calling the function, we're passing this 6-inch, we want the tuna sandwich, and we want some lettuce on it. And those arguments are getting passed to the function, and the function will then process it and print the following, like so. All right. And here we have another challenge. This is gonna for user profiles. We're gonna make some user profiles. We have building the profile. So we have first name, last name, and something they like. And then we pass that to the function processes it. Remember, double asterisk will create a dictionary, and then we're going to basically say, hey, dictionary, I want you to use this as the key value pairs for your dictionary, right? And so that's what this is doing here. And then we're returning that dictionary, and then we're printing it out. So it should look like the following. All right. And now we got challenge 31. All right, let's see. And here we have cars, so like car brands. So we are calling the function, passing brand, the type, the color, the tow package, and other, so heated seats. And then here's the function. It's going to take those values. It's going to create a dictionary. We are then associated those values with the dictionary, and we're going to return the information. So we're returning the dictionary values, and then we're printing it out. Now you can see how here I've explicitly associated the tow package with true, and the other is heated seats. That's fine if you do it here, or if you do it here. Either way, it will be put in the dictionary. So when we run this, it will show the following. All right, so you can see your heated seats in there, other heated seats and tow package. All right. All right, 32. This one is going to have to be run in the PyCharm. So let me go to my PyCharm here. And what you're going to do is you're importing files. So importing files sounds complicated, but it's really not. First, we create a module in PyCharm, and then we move over our functions. So for instance, you have the main page, which will just be us calling the function and sending the arguments. So we're importing. It makes more sense when you see it. So let me go ahead and just move over to PyCharm so you can see this in the process. All right, so I'm just going to copy this code. All right, here it is. So here's the main page here, and the main one will import the pizza module, and this is the pizza module here. And we're basically loading the information here into this one so that they can could take information from each other, and whatever variables are on this one will also be noticed by this one. So this one will notice what's going on over here. And so that's what the import pizza does. And then the pizza, so now we're calling this module, which is called pizza. You see this? See how it's called pizza py? So we're saying pizza, this one, make pizza. And then make pizza is the name of the function right here. Right, so we're specifying that. So let's say make pizza, and then we're passing, so right here we're calling it basically. And right here we're passing our argument, size 16 pepperoni. So when you run this, and we'll run main. Let's see here, it says making a 16-inch pizza with the following toppings, pepperoni. So this was processed, and this function, its job is to actually take those arguments and process them and print the following out, has done its job, right? And it's kind of neater because let's say I have a friend and he's like, hey, I want to make some code that will, print out some toppings for a pizza. And I'm like, hey, I have that code. I have a function that does just that. And I give this to him. And he says, great, thanks, bud. And then all he has to do is input this, and he'll basically be able to run it without having to know what's going on. All right, so next, main requesting a certain pizza. Okay, so here we're doing the same thing, except this time we're actually specifying, and this is just different ways. This is a style type of approach. And whenever we go over styles, I don't like to go into too much detail because it's really up to you. So, so in the main, we'll go ahead and input this. For module name, import function name. Okay, so first the module name, then the function name, right? And so here, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to talk about it. We're not going to actually input it there. And because we just went in depth on how this is structured. So then this is the main, right? And so basically, if you want to import a specific function, so let's say I want to import the function making pizza, right? Because we know, oh snap, so let's just go back over here, making pizza is the name of that function. Then you can specify it in your main saying, hey, I want to only request that. Right, so you can do something like this. And then run that. And then it looks like it gave me an error. Pizza. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it's probably because of this. If I run it. Let me rerun. See if it will recognize it now. No, that's not. All right. Making pizza. Oh, well, that's probably why, because it says making pizza and this one says make pizza. So we have to figure out which one is it. Make pizza. Okay, make pizza. All right, we'll kind of set that aside real quick because just understanding that is more important at this point. So let's try this one right here. So let's from pizza import make pizza as and make MP. Okay, so we'll try this one right here and see if it works. So here we're giving make pizza an alias. So we're saying from pizza import making pizza. So this is the pizza, right? And then we're just importing the list there. So let's see here. The module, we're just giving it a nickname. So let's see here. Right, this is pizza. All right, that should essentially work. All right. All right, let me take a look at this real quick. All right, so when I specify the make pizza, the pizza, like the Python file, and then the make pizza, the function, and then pass the arguments, it seemed to work for me. However, when I tried some of the other ones, it may be different because I haven't played too much with PyCharm. I've, used Sublime Text Editor for a while now. So, yeah, I mean, the point is here is that you can specify and you can give your function an alias like they've done here. I don't think that's a bad idea, but if I'm reading this, I might be like, well, what's an MP? I don't really know. Or you can import all modules with asterisks, which is not the best idea because what if somebody has already like created a variable with the same name, then essentially if you guys are working on a project, their variable will overwrite your variable and then it may cause some errors. Not the best idea. So going forward, just recommend that you input comments and descriptions for every module. Okay. Don't always import every module because like I just mentioned, may overwrite your module. And I would recommend only importing the module that you need, like we've done here. So those are just some tips along the way. All right, I hope you like and enjoy. Next, we're going to be going over classes. And if you haven't checked out my Try Hack Me videos, I know if you're here, you're trying to learn Python. But, just trying to do some hacking. It's always fun. And I hope you have a good day. If you have any recommendations, put it in the comment section. And I hope to have that next video sometime next week. All right. Well, you have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.